Hey, hey. What's happening? Guess where we're at? We're at the home of that tyrant Brian O'Neill. We're at the Denver Police Department District 3 cab meeting. Oh, look, and I got a new gimbal. Okay, I got a new gimbal. I'm with it, you guys. Okay, hang tight. So I just got a new gimbal. It was working great. Now it's not. So you remember the big debacle with the broken leg on the Okay, hang tight. I'm gonna get this figured out. I have this fancy new gimbal. Oh, we're not gonna get front row. Oh, maybe we will.
Hi.
Hello. Good, thanks.
But even
Hang tight.
it's just that unfortunate situation that happens. But anyway. No, it's strapped on.
It was working fine as I was walking. I gotta get my glasses on.
Yeah. So 11. As I get older, I get bigger and bigger.
Bokomo, how are you? Thank you for being in here. Yeah, so here we are. Okay, bear with me. Well, look at this beautiful, nice, fancy thing that I just bought 20 minutes ago. This is like super high tech for me. It was working great, and then it wasn't. So the meeting starts at 6. Well, this isn't going to be good. Yeah, no, it's fully charged. It wants to switch orientation. It has something to do with the orientation. Oh, now it's working smooth.
That's a pretty cool little thing.
Isn't that handy?
What is that? Is that like a
It's a gimbal. Yeah.
Are we gonna all be famous? Because I'm an entertainment leader. I can help us.
Are you? I like that. Well, I don't know. It depends on who wants to be famous, I guess.
I can help them. Well, if we get a contract.
Sign on the dotted line first.
Exactly right.
I got it. Hi. It wants to do its own thing. I kind of like that.
It's a pretty journey.
Thank you very much. Flowers. Right. I like flowers.
All right, if we could get started, please. I'm sure most of us were up late last night with the election, so we're going to try to make this a quick one. Ian, can you stop right there for a second? This is Ian Culverhouse. He's one of the other lieutenants you haven't been had the opportunity to meet. He's the admin lieutenant. So you know the Game of Thrones, how they have the King Whisperer? I'm not a king, so he's the Jester Whisperer. So he helps me organize the district, both the staffing and all the other, and he oversees our detectives too and our ACT team. So Ian, this is everything. Today we have a guest speaker, Emerald Mabel, with our Well Power and co-responder program. Oh, do you have no slide?
Nope. Nice and easy. Hi, I'm Emerald. I'm a co-responder. The officers refer to us as clinicians. For those of you who do not know what a co-responder is, we ride in the cars with the police officers. We have a few of us in every district. We've been around for about 8 years now. And so I was asked to just come explain a little bit of what we do, what resources we have, especially with the holidays coming up. Sometimes it can be a tough time for people. So our goal as co-responders are basically to help on any mental health or crisis call. That can be anything from a call that's specifically for like a suicidal party or someone having mental health issues, or like a car accident that's really freaking someone out. We can just help de-escalate and help out. So we can help with a wide variety of issues and really just however the officers need us to in that moment. We do work through WellPower, which is formerly Mental Health Center of Denver, which is a community mental health agency here in Denver. So we have connections to be able to get people into mental health services a little easier than they might be able to do on their own. We also partner with other community agencies to help people get the resources they need if it's not WellPower, if it's other agencies or resources. And the really cool thing too is we get to follow up with people. Our job is to follow up and make sure these people get connected to whatever services they need. A lot of the time the officers, we're seeing a lot of repeat callers, people with mental health issues calling them frequently for maybe like delusions or hallucinations or repetitive suicidal thoughts because they weren't getting the help they needed and all they knew what to do was call 911. So our job is to come in and help figure out what they were needing and help them, connect them to the appropriate resources, because officers are great, but they have a lot of other things on their plates. So it's helpful for us to be able to connect them with like an ongoing therapist or just housing resources or other things that they need there. So a few resources that we utilize are, we of course use hospitals if it's absolutely needed. We try not to, just because that can be traumatic for clients and patients, and it's a very temporary short fix. But we have other resources such as our Walk-In Crisis Center off of Colfax and Claremont. We also have what's called our Solution Center. It's for first responder drop-off only, but it's a spot that people can stay. There's 3 different parts to it, and the first part is a drop-off center that they can stay for up to 24 hours, and then they could actually stay for 3 to 5 days for like a crisis stabilization unit if they want to get back on medication, get into mental health therapy. And then we have a 30-day program, transitional program for those who are needing additional support with their housing and mental health. So that's a quick gist of what we do. I did bring cards, and I can leave them up at the front if you guys want to grab them, both with crisis services as well as just some other resources in Denver. And then I just wanted to take a moment to just acknowledge that holidays can be rough and hard time for some folks. So reminding you to share back with your friends and family and community, and we remind people as well. 988 is a great crisis resource phone number for people to call or text when they're struggling. 988 is great because they'll talk to the person, and they'll try to help them in that moment. And if the person who's answering the 988 feels like they need even more support, then they'll call police with a co-responder or STAR for us to come support them if they're needing like immediate help. And then anyone can go to the Walk-In Crisis Center, which I was mentioning earlier at Colfax and Claremont. Totally free, open 24/7. There's licensed therapists and nurses there. They can always connect people to a higher level of care or just connect them to resources or therapists from there, like for ongoing care. Yeah, that's a really quick, brief coverage of what co-responders do. Does anyone have any questions or want me to go on? Yeah.
Just thank you for what you do.
Thank
I think
you.
it's a necessity and it's interesting.
Thank
what
you.
do.
It's an honor to be here, and it's really an honor to be with the officers. Before I did this job, I never worked with law enforcement or had any really experience or exposure to law enforcement, and so understanding that they have to know so much about so many different things, it's so helpful to be able to come in and say like, hey, I know you know like the main idea of like what mental health is, but by no means are you an expert or did 4 years of grad school with this, so like let me help. And it's really cool to see too, some of the officers that I've like ridden with, they'll start using my like phrases and all. And so it's really cool. We definitely both benefit from each other. I'd say I have learned so much from officers, and I believe a lot of them have learned something from me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've always puzzled how the dispatch issue, how do they team you up to get you out at the proper time? The logistics sounds awesome
Yeah.
to me.
So on the back end, they actually kind of looked at where the highest call volume was for mental health related calls. And then dispatch actually doesn't assign us. So we are all assigned to different districts. So I actually normally work in District 1, which is Northwest Denver, but I was here for a little bit. So there's a couple of us clinicians in each district, and we are assigned either to go out with day shift or swing shift. In District 6, we have 1 overnight clinician, but aside from that, it's really hard to hire overnight clinicians. So with other districts, we all are just either day shift or swing shift, and we actually have the ability, we go to roll call, and we decide who we ride with. And we make a point to ride with every officer so that every officer knows what we do, what we offer. And also so I don't get bored of talking to the same person all day, right? It's a lot. So it's really great though, being able to, and especially like officers who come from overnights who like aren't really familiar with what the clinician program is because we're not on overnights. I really enjoy riding with them, or the people straight out of the academy who really don't know. It's really cool to ride with them, and everyone gets a little worried the first time. I'm like, are you judging me? Are you diagnosing me? Are you analyzing me? Once they realize like I'm a human, I only have so much energy to give to the world. I gotta save it for the clients. They're like, okay, cool. And when they see that we're helpful too, I think is really when we get the buy-in. But yeah, we actually decide ourselves to go with the officers, and then we help them. We go with them to whatever calls they're assigned to. So every officer has like their own precinct and area, like the high priority calls. So we go with them to that. We're actually wearing bulletproof vests to keep us safe, and we have safety training to like not make ourselves a liability or be in danger. So we go with them to all their calls, but then also dispatch will see that we're assigned to the officer, so they'll send that specific officer if there's like a suicidal call or something that's screaming mental health. Or sometimes officers, a lot of time will get like a fraud report, and officers who arrive on scene are like, this is clearly not fraud, this is probably more mental health. So they'll ask whatever car with the officer, with the clinician, to come over and we can handle it from there.
Your compensation, is that with the city or with the hospital or what?
So we're employed currently through Well Power.
Yeah.
And the funding for that, there is some funding from the city. There's also some grant funding, but it's primarily from the Caring for Denver
Okay.
grant. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the difference between what you do and the STAR program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Star and myself, we are very similar, but also very different. So Star is comprised of a paramedic and a clinician, whereas co-responder is a clinician and a police officer. So clinicians from both programs are from Well Power. Those are my colleagues, those are my coworkers. But they show up in a van with a paramedic, whereas I show up in a police car with a police officer. As a co-responder, we're going to the higher level calls. So the calls of someone who's suicidal and has access to weapons, or who's throwing things around the house, because we have the protection of the officer. The STAR folks are great for like kind of the lower level, like the welfare check of there's someone who seems distraught in the alley, will you just like go check on her or something like that. STAR can transport people because they have their own van. We can also transport people in the cop car, but sometimes that's a little scary for someone, so that's totally understandable. And then a big difference is not all STAR clinicians are licensed, so it means that they can't put someone on a mental health hold for the hospital, whereas it's a requirement for us co-responders clinicians to be licensed. But we definitely overlap in a lot of calls. Dispatch will sometimes say STAR or a clinician, but we definitely, us clinicians, try to take the higher level calls and the ones that might have a little more danger to them or urgency, whereas STAR is not necessarily as urgent. Yeah.
I'm curious to hear the ratio of co-responders to officers, and if you find you guys selves getting over because you said that you guys would get specifically called to a few calls specifically. I don't know how that exactly works, but do you find that there becomes a queue, like there's not enough people to go out, or is there right about good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So there's issues though, because there's staffing issues to get co-responders, and then there's also staffing issues for the officers.
Right.
There's also a car shortage. There's always a car shortage. So, so in a perfect world, if we had even more officers and more mental health clinicians, we would have more in each district. District 3 actually has the most clinicians with 4, I believe, clinicians. 4 spots available. Right now we're down to 2, just because of hiring issues. So we have 1 on the front half of the week, 1 on the back half of the week. But yes, it would absolutely be, in a perfect world, have more clinicians out there helping them, just because we are seeing so many calls that do have a mental health component, or again, even just like a de-escalation component. But that is, we work with what we got. That's what we can do, right? So, yeah. Did I see another hand?
So are there times when you were called out and maybe it was more appropriate for STAR or vice versa? Do you ever encounter that? And just, what's the average number of calls you do on a day? Or does,
I think that varies. So as far as the number of calls that we do in a day, it varies so much based on each district and literally the season. It really truly matters the season. I think in District 3 they have way more calls. I think they could say they are easily doing probably handling, being the primary, in 7 calls a day. I'm in District 1 now. It's a little slower with the mental health calls, so it could be 0, it could be 3. when I was running downtown, District 6, you could easily get up to 10 calls. As far as the overlap with co-respondent and STAR, I think kind of going back to the last question is, there's just not enough of us, so I would.
Do you ever show up and it was really appropriate for STAR?
Oh.
Would you call them?
We
and
have-
hand it off?
We have
Yeah, or vice
sometimes
versa.
called them, like, especially like for transport, if someone sees that I show up with a police car, and I joke with them and say, hey, this is just my Uber driver, we just showed up in a police car, I know it's kind of weird, but you're not in any trouble. But some people have a really hard time, rightfully so, getting to the back of a police car to go to the crisis center. So I have in the past absolutely called for STAR. But really, there's not a call, I think if anything, it would go the opposite way, that STAR gets there and realizes it's too high level.
And it should be.
Yeah, that they would have to wait for an officer to cover. And if we hear that, then we try to pipe up and say, hey, I'm a mental health clinician running with an officer, why don't you let STAR go back in service to all their other calls, and we can handle it, instead of STAR waiting for cover. But we can us clinicians can handle anything STAR covers, just not vice versa. So, yeah. All right, thank you so much for letting me speak to you guys. I'll leave some cards up at the front. I would be honored for you guys to take any if you know anyone that, or want them for yourself, whatever, just to hand out or use. Has a list of just walk-in crisis center places, but specifically the Denver one, and then a list of just different resources in the community for you guys. Or, you know what, I'll just put them right here and we can pass it down. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Great program, great partner with the Denver Police. Starting off, we'll do our September Officer of the Month, Officer Salazar Reyes. On September 13th at approximately 2:40 hours p.m. near the intersection of Arizona Avenue and South Colorado Boulevard, Officer Reyes observed a motorcyclist, drive at a high rate of speed, perform wheelies, and run multiple stop signs. Upon contact, the driver attempted to flee and intentionally cause injury to the contacting officer by accelerating toward him and striking him in the shin. Officer Reyes pulled the driver off the motorcycle and took him into custody without further incident. Both the officer and the suspect were treated on scene by paramedics for minor injuries. The suspect was transported by ambulance to Denver Health Medical Center, where he was medically cleared. The suspect was charged with an investigative hold for second-degree assault. And, you know, during these community meetings, we hear a lot. We hear you loud and clear about speed racing in your neighborhood, around your neighborhood. This is the hurdle we have is they don't stop, and we're not going to chase them, endangering further people by doing a high-speed chase. But in this incident, he was able to address the problem. Just as a real reminder of for anybody who's new of District 3, how big it is, 2 sectors divided by Colorado Boulevard till it hits I-25 and then south down on I-25. To the west, you have Sector 1. To the east, you have Sector 2. Sector 1 is Lieutenant David Timmerman back there. And then you have your CROs, which is Technician Kate Young and CRO Manny. Sector 2, Julie Wheaton. That's her area. And then our great CRO staff, Technician Pacheco. And new to our team is John Silva. Sean, are you? He's not here? Okay, thank you. And John Silva just came this week, Monday. So he came from District 4, and we plugged him right into our open spot. Matt Grimsley has gone on to be a school resource officer, so that opened up a spot. Looking at, and I'll do the overall crime stats for District 3, and then I'll have the sector lieutenants come up and drill down a little further on those. Our person crimes have gone up 7.9%. I was looking at the data this afternoon. A lot of those are those domestic violence, known assault that I'm always talking about. Domestic violence is difficult crime for us to address. It happens behind closed doors and, whispers of possible abuse. So always asking for the public's help. If you know of someone in an abusive relationship, please have them reach out either to the police department or other resources. And so the crimes against persons, a lot of that was simple assault or aggravated assault. A lot of it people who know each other. Property crime, we are down 25%. We can get further on that with your help. A lot of unlocked doors, open garages. I think Lieutenant Wheaton can address it. I think one of our sectors had 30% of our stolen cars had keys in them. So we need to help lock things up and make everything safer. The total crime for District 3 year to date on the average is negative 17%. And with that, I'll turn it over to David Timmerman.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out and braving the weather. Appreciate it. Before I get into it at all, first I just want to comment on the willpower program with the clinicians. I believe it started out here in District 3. I wasn't out here at the time, but not long after it came to District 6 when I was a sergeant out there. And like Emerald said, handled tons of calls down there, lots of people who need the services of a clinician. A lot of skepticism and unease when they started riding with officers. Officers weren't sure what to expect and vice versa, but it was pretty quick before there was that bond and that trust that formed between them, because they're invaluable. They do amazing work coming out with the officers. Officers are trained to deal with all these different situations, but obviously when you have people in having some kind of mental episode, it's great to have people that went to school and specialize on those specific things. That way it can really be handled properly. And yeah, they're just part of the team now. So we're lucky enough, like she said, to have 4 out here. Not right now, but usually we have 4. So yeah, they're awesome and they're a huge help to us. And especially when we're lower staffed, they're just big assistance. I think with the weather, I think everybody I see for the most part has been here before. So I don't want to go over the same things over and over again. Is there anyone here who doesn't really understand the difference between the person, property, and public crimes? If so, I can go over it. Otherwise, I'll just move along. Perfect. Coming to the end of the year, you'll see these numbers are really starting to stabilize. In the beginning of the year, they'll jump up and down percentages and such. They've been kind of steady now that we're in November. All these numbers they're still in the positive, which is never great, but they have improved. I think 311 is the only one that's gone up ever so slightly this month. Everything else has gone down, which is great. As the commander said, a lot of these discrepancies in the numbers are simple assaults, people they know, and domestic violence. So things that are very hard to combat, but obviously we respond to and help out on. Sector 1, for the most part, hasn't had anything crazy. I try and figure out an issue that we're really seeing that's a lot more prevalent than normal. Not really seeing that this month. It's pretty standard what's going on. So for this month, I'll just try and remind you guys a little bit of the holiday season coming up. Especially in Sector 1, property crimes tend to be a big issue around the holiday season. Package thefts, there haven't been a lot of them, but I have started to see a little bit of them pop up. They always seem to pop up around as the holidays approach. So please make sure if you're getting deliveries, bring them in as fast as possible. Have a neighbor pick them up. I know there are services where you can have them delivered to specific locations or get them held at the depot where you can go pick them up yourselves. So try and be cognizant of that. Try and make sure packages aren't sitting out too long, because even right away, I haven't seen it recently, but I know in years past you'd have people following delivery drivers. So even if those packages are put out, they can be stolen very quickly. So try and make sure you have a plan. Obviously nothing's perfect, but just do what you can to try and prevent that. Second thing I'll say is theft for motor vehicles. I haven't talked about it that much this year. That's something that most of the time, that's a big topic for me. Everybody, citizens, you guys out here, have been pretty good about not leaving valuables in their vehicles locked up. But again, shopping season coming. If you're parking your car and you're going shopping, try and hold on to your belongings. If you bring them back to your car and put them in and go back shopping, people are watching for that kind of thing. Even if you hide them in your trunk where they're not visible, people see you dropping them off and leaving. If you're gonna do that, put them in your trunk, then go elsewhere. Preferably home to drop them off. I know that's not ideal for most people, but don't go to your next location, then put things in the trunk, because people are watching for that sort of thing. So try and prevent that from happening. A little bit on the more person crime side is we also start to see sometimes some street robberies might pop up, going from stores to your vehicle, walking the neighborhood with packages and belongings. Just be cognizant of your area. It's not something that's super prevalent, but I just want to make sure everyone's aware of your surroundings. And just try and stick to lit areas, and make sure you're not doing it at night alone, that sort of thing, if you're shopping for high value items. So obviously around here, Cherry Creek Mall is our biggest shopping area. So just know that we do always step up our patrols in the holiday season around that area as well. The mall itself hires off-duty officers during the holiday season to patrol inside the mall. And then Cherry Creek North also, and this is outside what we're doing, but Cherry Creek North also has more security than they have in years past. Plus they're hiring off-duty officers 7 days a week now for the holiday season and possibly going forward. So just know that they are out there. That visual presence tends to be a huge help in these property type crimes, which is usually what we see in those areas. And then lastly, a new thing that got installed, I believe we've talked about it before around here, are the flock cameras that are installed. The mayor got them installed throughout the whole city. They're license plate readers, so they assist us in trying to investigate crimes when people have descriptions of vehicles, license plates, and it also lets us know when there's stolen cars in the area or vehicles wanted for specific crimes. Well, Cherry Creek North, the Business Improvement District, bought a whole bunch of cameras for that area as well. And with Flock, the way it works, they have them, and all they have to do is pretty much give permission to Flock, which they have, so we have access to that. So if we do have crimes going on in the area, those can assist us to respond immediately and try and prevent them or effect an arrest. So that's all I really have for this month, unless anybody has some questions, I'll gladly take some.
If you call in a drunk driver, you call 911, you're behind somebody who's really crazy, do they enter the license number into the flock system immediately, so that if that idiot ends up driving through a camera-sensitive intersection?
No, I don't think that's an ability that, well, I know it's the ability dispatch doesn't have. Getting it entered into the system is can be a little bit of a pain. It's more for either the investigative purposes or, so like if we put a warrant out for a vehicle that was involved in a street robbery, we have a license plate number, the detective can get that plate put into the system and it'll alert us if that car's in the area. Big one is stolen cars. All stolen cars get added into the system, and many times, not always, but a large majority of the time, when people are coming to the area to commit crimes, they're in the stolen cars. So that's generally what we'll keep a lookout for and try and respond as fast as we can. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I will pass it over to Lieutenant Wheaton. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, guys. Like Dave said, it looks like kind of the regular crew tonight. I'll just touch base real quick on Sector 2. Reviewing the numbers, you know, when you look at the 3-year average, right, those good were in the negatives. So of course I thought I would address the 321, 33% increase in persons crimes. And reviewing that is pretty much what I tell you guys every week. You know, it's important that I review it to make sure I'm not missing patterns that may be associated with persons crimes, but again, that's not the case. DVs, some neighbor disputes that resulted in felony menacings, and a few robberies that were actually shoplift turn robberies where they assaulted the people that tried to intervene, and a couple random things. A referee of a soccer game was assaulted in a DHS worker. So, you know, just nothing pattern related, nothing related to a specific address that we can target. just the typical persistent domestic violence that just remains a challenge. Other than that, I have a whole lot to share. You guys know in this sector, we deal with larcenies, a lot of retail, but we also have package thefts and so forth. So for you guys, that's super important. There's a lot of package thefts, locker thefts, or mail thefts. So definitely choose Amazon lockers or have neighbors pick it up, because we'll definitely see an increase, I think, as we enter that holiday season. Is there anything anybody wanted to ask me specifically? Yeah.
The 800 Oneida
Mhm.
Street area.
Mhm.
I know the mayor had set up a safety meeting to discuss that publicly, and then postponed it and never rescheduled it.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know any more about the meetings or any update on what's going on there.
I don't have anything on my calendar, although Lieutenant Sandoval, even though 800 South Oneida is in my sector, Commander has put Lieutenant Sandoval on that PNI, that Place Network Investigation. I bet he could speak to that for a few minutes.
Sure. So, if, for those that don't know, the P&I Place Network Investigation, we have identified an area that we're focusing on to increase not just the community's expectation of happiness in the area, but also to lower the crime in the immediate area and in that residential complex. It has 384 units in it and a total of, I think it's 12 buildings. Since the start of the project, we have seen a slight decrease in crime with a slow uptick just recently. But in that time, we've also helped out with lighting, with doors, with security of the area, with employment, or the new employees, getting them up to speed on how we patrol, what to look for, when to call us. A lot of resources are going forward with the residents that are in there. That goes from food to giving work asylum for any newcomers that have been placed into that apartment complex. So since we've actually joined the PNI and started working on it, we've not only taken an enforcement approach, but it's mainly a holistic approach. So we try and, like I said, increase their quality of life, not while going in there and hammering them with law enforcement and taking them out for warrants and so on. We check out diversion, we give them education and different resources to where they're not on the street corner washing windows. They're not putting up illegal food carts or anything like that. And they know that through these flyers and through our education, they can't be playing the music 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, disturbing the peace of others and so on, because in some cultures that's acceptable, but it's not acceptable out here. So it's just the difference in culture and communication that we have to kind of blend, and we're going to be the conduit that helps solidify not only their safety, but their education and their assimilation into our culture and our community. And so far, it's working pretty well. I went down there today. I try and go down there every night that I'm on shift. I go with DDPHE, Department of Health, and a couple other resources, whether it's neighborhood enforcement or zoning or parking. We go through, or Viva Wellness. And you sort of the nonprofits, they also go with us. We go around, we talk to the community, we look at the buildings, we see what we can help with as far as like anything with their safety, or if they have any concerns that they want to bring to us. One other thing that we're trying to do is, in other cultures, law enforcement is looked at as corrupt, racist, and heavy-handed. We are none of that. So we want to make sure that we build a good relationship with them. So we try and get our faces out there a lot more. They know me by name. They know our commander by name. They know Lieutenant Wheaton, Lieutenant Timmerman. They know all of us by name. And it's mainly due to the work from our community engagement, Christy, and our CRO team for going out there and helping out and getting our faces. So if you do go out there, it's becoming a nicer area, especially with the lighting, the cameras, and the aesthetics that they're putting up. But it's still a focus of our attention because we want to, like I said, increase the quality of life for them. Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Can you just go back a slide so I can see which district is which area?
Oh,
Sure.
321.
It's in
Well, he's
22.
talking about 322.
Yeah, the
Oh,
PNI is in 322.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So, I am so sorry, I didn't bring my glasses and this is a little bit blurry today.
It's okay.
Oh my goodness, lead still, is it right? Yeah, right there. And like I said, the name of the apartment complex is Cedar Run. You may have seen it in the news. Please see everything. Please don't believe everything you hear on the internet or on social media and the news, if you did, I'd be able to fly and have 4 arms, you know, but that's not the case. So read that stuff with a grain of salt. You could ask us on these kind of forums. We'll be more than happy to be transparent and answer your question, whether it's good or bad for us. Yes, sir.
Were you involved on part of that risk assessment for it? You personally then?
The risk assessment, I got to listen in, but I wasn't necessarily a person that could do the input on it. I don't have a high enough rank.
Oh, come on.
People with stars or higher can do the input.
It all helps.
Yes, sir.
From what you're saying, it appears there's a large immigrant population in there, which I really wasn't aware of. I mean, I'm in Winston down, so we border right on it.
Sure.
I didn't realize that there was many immigrants in there, because that's been a hot spot forever.
Yes, ever since I was on patrol, till now, it's always been a hot spot. But don't be afraid of when someone brings up the word immigrant or newcomer or anything like that. I don't want them to get the stigma of them always being bad. It's very few, and it doesn't matter what community you live in, what town you live in, what city you live in. There's always going to be a percentage of it that's bad. Just like you hear about with law enforcement in the media. Sometimes you hear of an officer going crazy or doing something stupid. No matter what organization it is, there's always a small percentage like that. So make sure you don't sit there and when you hear newcomer, you think, oh, that place is terrible, it's horrible. But there are quite a few newcomers in there. There are quite a few people that have been there for decades.
I just never thought of it as even having newcomers in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of newcomers in there, and we're doing a lot of outreach with nonprofits there to help them get assimilated to our culture and get them the opportunities they need to succeed. I would like to point out, we've done multiple operations with our ACT team, our proactive team. I believe, I just looked at the stats today. I believe we've recovered 18 stolen vehicles associated with that location and 10 weapons. And not all right there, but we would follow people away and recover those weapons. I can tell you, those 10 weapons were recovered from U.S. citizens. We have not recovered one weapon from a newcomer out of that particular area. So.
I had a question. You mentioned the selling of food and stuff. So, state of Colorado, I think it's the Cottage Foods Act regulates things that you can make in your house. On the street. Beverages is one of the things that you cannot make in your home and then sell out of the back of your car. But what kind of, could you elaborate a little bit more on like the education you do around unlicensed like food vending on the streets and what enforcement's,
Sure.
what enforcement actions
So,
CHE brings you guys to?
because we're trying to utilize a holistic approach on this, enforcement is going to be our very last resort. So education, again, takes the top. We used to have a director of newcomer resources. Her name was Sarah Plastino. She's no longer with the city and county of Denver. But when she was the director, her and I would talk, and we would go to meetings on how to inform them on how to get their own food truck, what the rules and regulations are, what steps they needed to take to have sanitary conditions to make certain drinks, food, that kind of thing. So again, educational approach. And so far, last I spoke with her, which was a couple weeks ago, things have been successful.
Do you guys have flyers or any like printing materials on that?
We do. I don't know if we have them necessarily handy right now, but generally we shuttle them over there and leave them out and hand them out at the BLM. Yes, sir.
Is that activity spreading at all? I live at the Lex at Lowry, and it just seems like the crowd continues to decrease in affluence and intelligence, and lots of young kids who are out in the parking lots all night screaming and yelling on Friday or Saturday night. You mentioned the cultural loud music, and, I mean, it seems like it's getting much more dangerous.
it may appear that it's getting a lot more rowdy and so on, but with our enforcement approach, remember that when we go and we hit one place, sometimes the cell will move to another place, and sometimes it moves to another place, where it gives the perception of, oh my goodness, it's everywhere. We track them, we follow them, and we hit them in a random, but organized kind of order. So we are aware of where the crime is moving to. We have predictions on where it's going to go next, and that's how we focus our enforcement with our ACT, our anti-crime team. But,
And- I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
go ahead.
And that's why it's very important for you to report a crime as you see it and as you hear it. We keep those statistics so we know where to go and when to go.
Any other questions before I go hide in the back? All right, thank you.
All right, before I call Christy up here, I just wanted to point out our e-bike. We just got some new e-bikes so we can get officers out on the street, makes us more accessible. It also gives us a smaller footprint going green. And City Council, Councilwoman Romero Campbell's here. City Council helped us bring this, as well as the Office of Climate Action. So each district got some bikes, and you'll be seeing the officers on these e-bikes through. We'll be using them throughout the district. So, Christy, you want to come?
I also wanted to mention that from time to time, I'll get emails about officers in the community and some of the community work and the unsung work that our officers do that you might not know about. And with Lieutenant Sandoval coming up here, I just wanted to share, Lieutenant Sandoval and another sergeant actually run from the station around Wash Park and back here. So they're out in the community, eyes and ears out in the community as well. So definitely some above and beyond service to our community on foot, seeing what's going on in the community. Plus, I don't know if any of you would be running from here around Wash Park and back daily, but keeps them in shape, and we're grateful that he does that for our community as well. So I wanted to mention that. Our gun safety, as you have seen in my most recent emails, we've sent out a pretty big ask for all of you to please do what you can to share with your neighbors and those people in your community to please not store guns in cars. We've seen an uptick in guns being stolen from cars. In addition to that, safe storage, there's state laws for it. And we also want to remind people that you can walk up to the clerk's desk, please tell friends, family, neighbors, no questions asked, ask for a gun lock, they will give you a gun lock and you'll be set. So we won't track you or ask you where you live or anything like that. So if you want one tonight before you leave, you can walk up to the clerk's desk, tell me you need a free gun lock, and they'll give you one.
We recently had a car that was broken into, and the gentleman left 4 firearms and 1 rifle in his car, and all of them were stolen. So responsible gun ownership, that's what we're asking for. They need to be locked up, they need to have safe storage. As most of you know, my prior assignment before this assignment was homicide, and a lot of our crimes committed with firearms are firearms that are obtained illegally. Very few of them are obtained legally. So if we can all do our part, those of us that are gun owners, and make sure they're safely stored.
Sorry. I didn't see that. Yes.
Good question. So, at the desk last Saturday, we had a lot of confusion, because someone told us, myself and the officer, that you had to be sent from DPS.
No, anyone can.
You're aware of the fact that somebody.
I'll let Susan know. So anybody can come in and ask for a free gun lock, and they should be given a gun lock, no questions asked.
Okay, it wasn't
Yep.
Susan.
No, but I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
we'll take care of that.
She'll help get the message, yeah. There obviously some miscommunication.
All right, and as everyone knows, we have our monthly Coffee with a Cop the first Wednesday. I know this morning there was a few people that joined our CROs for that. So anytime you want to have more of a one-on-one personal conversation, please feel free to join us. It's the same location on the first Wednesday of every month. And then we have our tune-up event. So our next one's going to be at City of Cheney Park. It's over off of Quebec. Right over there by the waste management facilities. Are you guys familiar with that park over there right off of Quebec? So if you have a bike that needs to be registered, we can register them for free. Free clubs for the vehicles that qualify. Sign up for Denver Track and get those and theft deterrent license plate screws put on your license plates. We also have our 3rd annual story time at the station coming up here, November 16th. It's a great time for the young people in our community, preschool, kindergarten, early elementary, to see firsthand our officers in a very human setting, reading stories, being silly, singing songs. Our courses will be here. We have activities. Starbucks is bringing free coffee for grown-ups and hot chocolate and cake pops for kids. So it's a great event, fun family time. The whole story time is themed around gratitude and being thankful this time of year. Cookies with a Cop, that's coming up. This is our 2nd annual, so that's December 12th at the Chick-fil-A up the road. And then we have our New Year's Eve party coming up, and this year, the way it fell during the week, it's gonna be on December 31st. And for those of you who've ever been, you know it's quite an event, but we go the night before and we fill the rafters of the restaurant with balloons, and then we have a great time and do a countdown and then drop the balloons at noon with all the kiddos, so super fun. And up here, we just have our recent press releases and also the press release about the bike and the different event flyers. And Officer Silva, our new CRO, his contact information is in the trifold up here as well.
Thank you. All right, and then our next CAB meeting will be December 4th. That is it? Oh, I guess that's not it.
I gotta bring up one thing.
Yeah.
You guys are very creative with all your programs and that, and for the rest of the people here, I sort of get around, and the sheriff up at Grand County is very appreciative of a lot of your ideas and that, and so they have been utilizing some of these and such. Brett, I'm just telling you, he told me to tell you guys thanks. I shoot the stuff that Christie comes and gives out and such, and those of us that are in here, we don't know how good this is compared to others. Well, Brett, Grand County's pretty good sized. He really appreciates like what you're doing, gives him some other ideas. So thanks to you guys, Christie, thanks.
Well, I appreciate you being our ambassador, and these are not trade secrets, what we're trying to do. When we're doing these programs, we want to share what's working, and we also want to share what's not working, so we don't waste other law enforcement, other agencies' time in trying something that we've already tried and it didn't work. Now,
so I see that you're doing this license plate and the registration targeting, or I don't know if you're calling it targeting, but whatever it is. We, right along where I live in Hamden, right along Girard, there are a lot of abandoned vehicles up on blocks. They've been there for 6 months. We call on them weekly, week after week after week, and they're not getting ticketed. There's nothing happening with them. Is there something we need to be doing more to try to get these moved along?
no, thank you. You're doing your part. Obviously, the city, us, we're not doing our part. So if you could just stay after and talk to my CROs, I want to know exactly what blocks those are. That is a right-of-way issue, but we can be that conduit to get the ball rolling. We're seeing this a lot throughout the district. Some of the newcomers are getting cars and fixing them up and as a way of making money. And some of that's an education piece that we have to let them know that you can't just leave an abandoned car without moving it. So if you don't mind, just staying after and we'll identify it. But continue doing your part, call their non-emergency, and they'll get it to the right of way to identify it. Mickey?
On a positive note, somebody mentioned to me that District 3 is bigger than the whole city of Boulder. What you have the police here is huge. It's just amazing.
Yes, District 3 is the largest district in the city. 6 districts in the city, then we also have the airport. District 3 is the largest district. As compared to Boulder, I'm not sure. I'm going to take your word for it. So.
So abandoned cars, I thought were handled by the sheriff's department, or is it
Both. The right of way, and then the sheriffs will also come out and impound them. All right. please, it's cold outside. Some of those side streets are still slippery. Be safe. Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for putting up with me in this gimbal. Clearly, I should have studied up a little bit more, but hey, I did pretty good. I got it going in 20 minutes. I thought it was charged.
Yeah, I'll put a seat on that.
But that's why the full battery symbol is flashing. I cannot figure out why it keeps collapsing. Hello, L. Thank you. So I would really like to figure this damn thing out. Because I've got it on a charger now, so it's charging. I need to figure out why it keeps dropping. It goes and then it falls. Like right now, it's on, and it's trying to spin everything around. Okay, so everything's great. It's doing its thing.
And it's very fast.
But it's gonna drop. And Cap, you still in here?
I want to count spokes. Police bikes typically have more spokes.
Okay, so I'm holding this. I'm doing good.
More robust, that they get abused. This does not have, this is what we
It's doing its thing. And then it's just gonna drop. What's happening?
Well,
Damn it. See, it keeps doing that. I don't know. Yeah. But I don't know what the hell the deal is here. No. Oh, excellent.
I
Excellent.
drove all the way to District 2 and they canceled and they canceled their cab meeting.
No.
Didn't tell anybody.
So, there we go.
Ride that home, Commander?
I might.
Nice looking bike.
So, there's Bitch Boy O'Neill. Sitting on his ass getting anointed, apparently. Yeah, see, I can't keep this up. It won't stay up.
Tighter or anything?
It's a gimbal, so it tries to balance the phone. And I just don't know it well enough yet.
It's okay. You're getting there, I bet.
Eventually.
One or the other.
Yeah, we're gonna turn it off and call it quits. That's
Already?
well, on this gimbal.
Gotcha.
If I still have my stream.
Story time at the station.
There we go.
That's my pal. Oh,
Alright.
gotcha.
We're back. So
I got two, one for my neighbor too.
that gimbal, I don't know. I'm gonna have to work on that. I can't believe that piece of shit still has a job. But, you know, what's new, right? He went and got him some hair plugs or something. He doesn't want to be recognized. Got himself on Ozempic or some shit. Fucking pig.
I am. I was up there last weekend. My son's he just got selected to be a coach for the competition center.
That's the sergeant and that's the commander. He runs the show here.
So he'll be teaching small kids. 14s. We need some snow.
Social hour.
So I think I got to work today. Winter parks are right back now. See you. All right.
And you know what's interesting? That little gal next to him was the one investigating my complaint against him. Sergeants investigating sergeants in IA. From the same district. Yeah, I want her name. I want her card.
I haven't heard back on the complaint I filed.
Mm-hmm.
I got back with you like the same day.
No. On the deal with the address issue.
Oh, no, that was different.
So we are just west of the microcenter. Okay.
What I just sent out, and so you'll see like the list, and then what you'll see.
Did I not talk to you? Did you investigate a complaint?
I did, yes.
You did.
I was in training up in internal a little bit.
And then, so then you came here? You weren't here first?
I started this position as the community resource officer sergeant back in November of last year. And then I
Okay.
went up and trained in internal affairs, March through July. And then I've been back here ever since.
So they had you investigate a complaint as a sergeant against another sergeant here that you work with.
That's correct. There's nothing
That's
written in our
correct.
policy that states that we can't investigate other
Our
sergeants
friends.
that we know.
Uh-huh.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Fuck. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Excuse me. I'm sorry. She fucking even admits it. This fucking place. Yeah. There's nothing in policy that forbids us from investigating our friends that we work with. Holy shit. It just never ends. All right, let's go.
Take those cookies, put them back in there.
This place is a fucking joke.
Oh, one strike.
Okay, I get one straight. Sounds good. All right, thanks,
See ya.
And fucking Bell runs and hides. And so did O'Neill when I walked back there. Hang tight. We're gonna go with no sound for a minute.
I mean, I'm not saying anything that's not.
Yeah, hey, we're just having a little chat here for a second, but we're talking about the shelter situation because shelters are full, and as you can see, this is what's going on. And it's cold. And we're in the lobby of District 3, and it is their responsibility to ensure that if there's confidential or sensitive information going on in reporting crimes, that they make sure to protect people's information. Because I sure as hell I'm not going to be in here without recording. So, yeah, at any rate, so I had seen that woman, that sergeant, and she's actually well spoken, and she was investigating the last complaint that I filed on O'Neill. Yeah, right, and she's worked with him, and she's, they're equals, they're buddies, and of course he did nothing wrong. DPD cleared him in that, even though there's body cam footage. Multiple policy violations, detaining people. Hey, you, sit down. It's just the homeless. Who cares? Who cares when thug cops get away with, rounding up the homeless? Nobody cares. And yeah, it's going to get better. Now that we're finally through the election, things are going to get way better. Lenny, what's going on? You keep things confidential in an echo chamber. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, shelters are full, and not quite sure how that's going to get handled, but I'm not going to be the one doing that in any way.
Christy, go back.
What is her position here?
Okay. Yes, they moved in and I.
She's just like the party coordinator,
From an accident on the corner.
essentially. I mean, yeah.
I think she used to be a
Cookies
volunteer,
and-
but then they hired her as a civilian.
How long has she been here?
She's been here ever since I've been coming to these meetings.
Was she here when Kyle was here?
I don't know. Not sure.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go
You gonna go check it out?
check the shelters over here. So I drove through.
We're talking Zealand Spear, right?
No. So Zuni and Alameda is the one. 7th and Bryant. And then the Best Western where they.
Isn't that one at Zuni and Alameda? Wasn't that a whole new housing?
No, that's the
Construction?
that was owned by DCC. It's the gymnasium that was owned by DCC. And
Okay.
the city bought it and they used it as a migrant shelter. And then they closed that down a few months ago.
Okay.
And
At Zuni. Right at Zuni.
yeah, kind of just south of Alameda.
Okay. Alright.
But I went by both of them. I went by both of those. Well, I went by all three of them a couple days ago. But people want indoors. So, I mean, they've been in, they started going in as soon as they opened them up, even though the weather was nice during the day. And so they're all full. So I just wanna see what happens when someone tries to walk up and get in because they're full. I mean, what are they gonna do? Turn them away, it sounds like. Then I got a report, I
Yeah,
don't
I'd
believe
kinda
it,
like to go
but I
check
heard
that
that
out.
they're doing warrant checks. But
These
I
are
don't
all
believe
city
that.
ran shelters, right?
They are, but they're run by Bayot, cause that contract, the contract with Bayot,
Okay.
that they have to spin up a shelter within 24 hours, and the city
Mhm.
notifies them. And so they're running those 3, and they're low barrier shelters. So I called and talked to
Off-duty
them.
cops?
There were no cops, no, none. Bathrooms are outside, showers are outside.
Hmm.
So if you gotta take a piss at 2 AM,
You gotta go outside.
you gotta go outside to do that. But, so I'm just gonna go check on them. Host was supposed to get back to us on transportation to those shelters, because they should be part of the loop.
Okay.
But I don't know if they made it into the loop.
How do we know they're full? So. Mhm.
About an hour ago.
You gotta be shitting me.
Well, there's, between the 3 of them, there's only space for 275 people.
Between those 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense.
And I can't get any answers on Holly, the one at Holly that they always used. So I don't know if that one's open or what's going on.
I should go check that out. Why don't I do that? Yeah, I'll do that, you do the other.
So, but that one, they get on buses downtown, so that's an overflow shelter. It's, not technically one of the cold weather shelters, it's an overflow, so it's for home shelter, it's for any time there's overflow. Well, not any time,
Well, like tonight would be one of those nights.
one of those nights.
I'm gonna go check that
So
out.
it should be open.
I will go check that one out.
So now my question is, and I meant to catch Commander, but
Oh, he was in a hurry. Commander Bell needed to.
there he is.
Oh, here he is.
Let me ask him.
Hey, Heather, can I ask you a quick question? I'm just curious because all the shelters are full. Yes. I just confirmed that post. So I'm just curious that, I mean, I know DPD has in the past been able to get rooms for me when I need a room for someone
Yeah,
to get off the street and,
and those are limited, as you know, but
Mhm.
what I would like for them, we have children, along with some children, I'd like to know that.
so just so you know as well, the Connection Center hotline for family sheltering, stopped answering their phone today. It rolls to voicemail and they're not returning calls. So there might be families, I guess is what I'm saying. So I appreciate, so I'm just checking with you that if I have no other options, whether I can bring somebody here and get them indoors since there's no
Yeah, and
available shelter.
And you are, but they're limited, those.
Yeah.
rooms are limited. I share your concern.
Okay, I
Alright.
just wanted to check. Great, thank you.
You take care.
So, yeah, because I called the Connection Center and waited,
I saw that.
and it rolled to voicemail. So I reached out to council, and they reached out to host. Come to find out, TSA didn't put any extra staff on, so they only have 2 staff on. And it takes at least 20 minutes to process a family over the phone.
So there's kids out there somewhere. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go over there.
So, but it's good to know if,
Can you text me that address?
you know, I've only been there one time. I think it is just north of the post office there.
Uh-huh. I know where that's at.
And isn't that Isn't that?
Well, that's Holly and Evans.
Mm-hmm. It's not an address they give out because it's an overflow shelter and you can't walk up. So they pick people up. So that's why you have to go through the front door.
So you have to go downtown. You have to go
downtown.
to
And then they check everybody in.
where? DRM or what?
DRM. And they check everybody in, and then they figure out how many people they have, and then they divvy them up between the different overflows and 48th Street.
What's the cutoff time?
7.
So what about 24/7?
Well, then you have to go to one of the walk-ups.
That are full.
But my question is, can you walk up to DRM during cold weather activations? Because you can't get into DRM. Typically after 7 p.m. if it's not through a police officer or you don't have paperwork from the hospital. So I don't know what it's like during cold weather activation.
So this is is it just a building, or is it some type of?
It's like a warehouse, but they have a sign. I've only been there one time, and I kind of saw it from a distance. So that's why I was going to search on it and see. Trying to think. I can't remember if it's this is only showing the ones downtown and the ones out on 48.
So nobody really knows. I thought we talked about this before, and we really didn't even know an address for this.
No, because they don't give the address out, because it's an overflow shelter and you can't walk up.
Well, I'm gonna go check it out. So it's north of there? Is it within the block?
Yeah, it's.
There's houses down there a little bit.
100% positive it's north of the post office.
You are positive it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Within that block?
It feels like it's set back and it's gated.
Ah.
So that's all I remember.
And it looks like private property?
Yeah. But I remember.
Who owns it?
It's been like 2-3 years since I've been there. There was a sign on the side of the building.
Who owns it?
I thought it was DRM, but I don't know for positive. It's, I'm 100% positive it's one of the churches.
Okay.
I'm just not sure.
Not the city.
Exactly which one, but Catholic Charities doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I'm sure by now they're listening and they'll send O'Neill over there. We'll go meet O'Neill in the dark alley over here somewhere in District 3. And hope he trips on ice and falls on his face and busts his nasty oinker snout. You're gonna die. What's here?
No, I'm just making sure both our cars are here.
Oh, right.
You know.
You fell on your face and your brain is coming out of your skull? Oh, sorry to see that. See you later.
Oh my gosh, my neighbors.
Oh, did you get the
No.
tree situation
No.
go from bad to worse? Or?
Yeah, it went to worse.
Did it?
So at least she still has electricity though.
Oh.
But I'm about to go
Good.
have a conversation because her electric line is laying on my garage.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That could get interesting.
So it's a problem, but not a crisis yet. So I got to deal with that tonight. Well, let me know how it goes. I'm gonna head over.
All right, we'll
to
do.
the night shelter.
All right.
All right.
See you later. Good to see you. All right. So we're just gonna go check out this situation. And I swear that every time I need a piece of something, technology, I don't have it. My phone. My phone mount in this car broke. So now, and I don't know how to work the gimbal. Yeah, what do you think about that? So anyway, that little sergeant, I want you to know her name. Yeah, Kiara Jenkins. That's right, Sergeant District 3. Yeah, so she called me up from IA to investigate her coworker, Sergeant Brian O'Neill, in this last mass arrest complaint that I made on him. You guys watched that live stream. He went out there and rounded people up in a paddy wagon. Apparently he was running his own operation that day. I mean, you know, Commander Bell, he runs the place, but he doesn't really run the place. And so O'Neill runs the place and goes out and does mass arrests on his own. And he gets to order all his guys around. Rodney Sanchez, the big fat buffoon that'll do anything anybody tells him to do. And Luke Palmetier, yeah, they went out there and rounded up some homeless at like 7:30 in the morning and ran warrant checks and hauled a bunch of them off to jail. And we got some body cam footage after filing that complaint. And yeah, it shows them, you know, going out there and unlawfully detaining people. But, you know, little Kiera here, she did a great thorough investigation. And then the chain of command in internal affairs said, oh, no, he did everything right. It's all good. And then the determination, the disposition of that complaint went back to the OIM, the Office of the Independent Monitor, who's supposed to be our layer of civilian citizen oversight to ensure that DPD is even doing a effing investigation. And, you know, they're like, yeah, here you go. We may not agree with this, and well, we got no control over it, but oh well. I'm really sick of it. And it's, so, yeah, you see me over in Inglewood. They got nothing over there. They're just beating the hell out of people with nobody watching. You got people watching over here in Denver, and they still don't care. Yeah, that just frosted my cake. I saw her at the last meeting, and I thought about that. I thought, well, give her the benefit of the doubt for a little bit. Maybe she's just here on special assignment or something, blah, 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 and then I come to this meeting and see her there again. You see her, you probably didn't, because I turned around her smirk little face and smiled. Have a good night. Fuck these people. They're just, we're not corrupt. Did you hear that other dipshit? Well, the newcomers, you know, they're used to corruption in government, and we're not that. We're just not that. We want to show them a different way. Well, we go out and fucking obliterate citizens that have been chronic homeless here for years. It's maddening. It's freaking maddening. We will show you how nice and kind we are while we let O'Neill and the likes of that piece of shit go out there and harass the shit out of people that they can ID. Only in America. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna make this phone situation work while I drive, because they're watching the stream and they're gonna go send cops over to where I'm going, and I really don't give a shit. That's fine. I'll record you when I get over there, but in case they kill me, we gotta make sure it's live. Hang tight. I'm gonna get this figured out. It's gonna be a little dark. The ride is going to be dark. Yes, it is. We're getting there. Hey, Richardson, whoever you are, you better mind your P's and Q's in this chat. I'll tell you right now, because I've already seen some of your other comments. You'll be banned. So if you want to be over here, know that you're on thin ice. There we go. All right, we should be good right there. Is the sound still good? Can you hear me talking from here? Bokomo, sound check. The microphone might be muffled. Good sound, Lenny? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Audio and video is good. Good sound. Okay, lights out. Here we go. Yeah, we became a little bit concerned with the shelter situation a couple hours ago, but there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it, except awareness. Yeah, the roads are not good. And it's snowing again. We're right at about freezing. I think it's like about 30, it's bouncing between 28 and 30 degrees. So we're going to take a little ride and we're going to go check out this overflow area that we think is connected to the Denver Rescue Mission, which is the 24-hour, what they're calling front door shelter. So if it's the middle of the night and you need shelter, you have to go to this location in downtown Denver. And then we've known them to transport people clear out here, which is like, I don't know, this is probably 5 to 7 miles away out of downtown Denver, into this overflow shelter, which some type of warehouse. Want to see if it's being used tonight, because all the other overflow shelters are full, and there's some problems with families being able to access family shelter, they don't answer the phone. Come to find out, they're not answering the phone because they're full. Great story, you guys. So Robert, you know, he calls me pretty much every day. Robert from Inglewood that had his foot amputated. And you know, we went out to dinner, what was that, a few weeks ago. I took him out for a steak dinner. He hadn't been out for a steak dinner for years, or if he even remembered that he's ever been out for a steak dinner, I'm not sure, but I took him out to dinner. Well, I also took him grocery shopping that night, remember? Well, I bought myself some peanut butter and it ended up in his bag. So he has been calling me every single day to remind me to come get that peanut butter. And I said, Robert, why don't you just eat the peanut butter? It's really good for you. Robert doesn't like peanut butter. Robert doesn't like a lot of things that are good for you. And I said, Robert, please be my guest. Eat the peanut butter. Get one of those Twinkies that you eat for dinner and dip it into the peanut butter. No, that's gross. I'm not eating the peanut butter. Okay, well, I'll be down there to get it at some point. Well, I haven't been able to get down there. But he still calls me every day. But I don't answer every day because I can't necessarily answer every day when he calls. But he called me yesterday and he left me a voicemail this time. And he never does that. He's like, yeah, Regan, I really need you to call me. I've got to talk to you. And I thought, uh-oh, what's wrong? So a couple hours went by, I called him. Thinking either it was really good news that he was getting his permanent assisted living situation, or really bad news, but I wasn't overly concerned that it was bad news. And he says to me, Regan, somebody came here and gave me a credit card. And so I thought of you. I thought maybe we should go out to dinner again. I said, what do you mean somebody gave you a credit card? Well, I don't fucking know. I said, is it like a gift card? Yeah, I think it's a fucking gift card. I said, I'm going to need to know a little bit more about that, Robert, before we go try to spend that on something. Well, no, they told me I could use it for anything. Long story short, I don't know, but there's a lot of organizations out there that are doing different stuff, and he said that somebody came and gave it to him and told him that it was a credit card. I think some organization gave him some kind of prepaid credit card for $900, and he might be getting close to housing, and that could be what that is for. I don't know 100% yet, but I just thought it was so great. He just kept telling me, well, I think we should go back to Texas Roadhouse. And I just thought of you. I just thought of you. Well, of course he's thinking of me because I'm the only one that's going to come get him and take him there. But he really thought of me. He said, I need to take you out to dinner. I said, well, let's go somewhere else this time. And he's like, well, I don't fucking know. I said, but there's other places, Robert. There's other steakhouses. Yeah, but I like the fucking Texas Roadhouse. I said, you really like Texas Roadhouse. And he did. He thoroughly enjoyed himself. He ate 8 rolls before our salads got there. 2 full baskets of bread. I'm like, have at it, Robert. Keep eating. And he told me he wasn't hungry when we got there. Well, he got super hungry real quick. He ate everything. He ordered, what did he get? He got a ribeye. He said he only wanted the smallest one. He should have got the biggest one. He had a ribeye, sweet potato, and a full basket of fries, and 8 rolls. It was a great dinner. So at some point, even if that credit card is not, even if the money that he's describing doesn't cover that, if it's for something else like housing or something associated with something that he might have gotten, we're still going out to dinner again, just because. And I don't even care if I have to pay for it. We're gonna do it just because he thought of me when somebody said, here's some money you can spend. Okay, we're coming up on this place here within the next few minutes. It's not snowing over here. Weird. Well, if that was right here, it's not here anymore because this is a whole brand new apartment complex that is fairly new construction. Interesting. Literally, if you haven't been in an area in like 6 months, anywhere here in the Denver metro area, and you happen to go there looking for something and it's not there anymore, it's not surprising. Oh, wait a minute. What's that? This is down the end of the block, dead end street. Gated. It's looking kind of warehousey. This is a public street though. This looks like some kind of construction thing. Like some marble and granite place or something. Will call. Let's see here for. This is a public street. I mean, this certainly could have been anything last year. Crossville Studios, is this for the apartments behind me, or is this what this place is? Let's look this up. Let's see what this is. Oh, do we have a problem with this person? Bokomo, are you in here? Did you already handle that? Oh, gone. Yeah, see. Yeah, and I hope you gave them the total nuke. They were making some stupid comments earlier, and I just didn't have time. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Well, this is some kind of tile place that does some level of interior design. So it's not this place. This must be a warehouse for them, because this is not their regular location. This is not a showroom. This is a warehouse. So either this was not what we thought it was ever, or this got bought. Because I don't see anything else on this block that resembles anything gated. So, I don't know. Let's drive around for a few more minutes. I don't see any cops, so we're good. Yeah, this is a warehouse for this Crossville Studios. I mean, it looks warehousey, but this is where you come get your product for this tile place. It does. It looks like a giant warehouse, and it's on the exact block that she said it would be. So, but I don't think anybody really has ever verified that this is it. But now we know that that's not it. Maybe there's something else out here. slippery. The roads are slippery. I think actually we're gonna pull in over here, chat for a minute, because I'm gonna make a couple phone calls, and I want to say hey to you all and bye to you all, and I gotta get some gasolina. Yeah, we'll call it good. We'll call it a night. I'm gonna get good with this gimbal, I promise. Damn thing. Get it fully charged. Whoever suggested to me that I should read up and fully understand the instructions, I cannot thank you enough for that. I never even thought about that. I just was gonna be like a typical man and just, you know, try to work it, and when I couldn't get it to work, I was just going to take it back because it wasn't doing what it's supposed to do. So I really want to thank you. That was the best piece of advice that I've gotten all night. I'm not a typical man. Thanks, Snarky. I needed to hear that. I will read up on it. It's nice though. Check it out. I just got to figure out how to make it work. But it was working dandily when it was working. But see, I would turn it on. It's not flashing, so it's fairly charged. ANCAP has this. ANCAP, you're probably going to have to get up here and teach me how to use it. Yeah, Snarky, thank you for that podcast you sent me. Interestingly, you guys, back to Inglewood for a brief moment. I told you that Joe Anderson, you know, he's a preacher. He's a real godly man, right? He's a godly man. And I'm not so much into knowing a lot about people's personal lives until there's missing pieces in the puzzle to explain why someone is behaving the way they are in government. Only then will I start doing some deep dives. I've done some deep dives on Joe Anderson. And that guy is some kind of psychotic freak hiding behind religion. That's the best summary I can come up with. And Snarky found me another piece of information the other night that he emailed me. Yeah, I will, Bokomo. I'll send you some other stuff too. Where he's doing a podcast with his other preacher friend by the name of Tim Nichols. And every time Joe Anderson walked by me the other night, you may have heard me say, "Hey, cult leader, how's it going? What's it like being in charge of a cult?" There are some deep-seated things over there in Inglewood about this grandiose plan for the churches, to infiltrate government through boards, commissions, elected seats, you know, and then, you know, get rid of people that aren't godly enough, you know, probably like me, people like me and a few others. Bottom line is, I am actually more faithful to my Creator and His plan than Joe Anderson. It's just fact. So, yeah, stay tuned for some of this stuff. And things are going to progress with Inglewood. I'm just saying. You know, the whole separation of church and state, that's not really a thing. It's really not. But this isn't even, this is something entirely different than that subject. This is imposing your agenda, bottom line. Yeah. Gather behind religion and try to rule the people. And get the things done that you want to get done. And where best to start in just this little podunk city council where when you first started, not too many people were paying attention. But since then, a lot of people are paying attention. And if any of you have been following me for a while in some public comment that I've made over there in Inglewood, I had already checked into some things like Chelsea Noonan camp. Not recusing herself from a vote where she had a financial and personal vested interest to vote yes on giving another organization control over Hampton Hall, the arts, remember the whole arts thing? Inglewood Arts or whatever the hell they're called? The city went ahead and gave Hampton Hall, that's within the Civic Center of Inglewood, gave it to Inglewood Arts and just told them, yeah, do what you want with it. Well, there's a reason that it was given to them to do whatever they want with. It's so they could make money. Somebody wanted to support this arts and some churches. Because some churches didn't have a home. What a convenient way to get free church space in a government taxpayer-owned building. Now, isn't that nifty? Not just church meetings, full-on church services. And so I called Chelsea out on that. If you notice, Chelsea doesn't want a whole lot to do with me. She really has a pending ethics complaint that anyone can file, regardless of whether or not they live in Inglewood. So I just kind of like this idea of Inglewood thinking that I'm just stupid. I prefer it that way. So let them just keep thinking I'm stupid. But yeah, thanks a lot, Snarky, for that. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, they're using that address. Yep. They hid it. I mean, they're doing it under a foundation. Inglewood Arts rents out the space. And then for the longest time, they did not have to reveal their financial records under any open records requests. That has since changed. I haven't dived back in to see how much they're collecting from the church for themselves. But regardless, it's their record keeping. It's not going to matter. So they're not going to be honest if they're pulling any shenanigans anyway. So it really doesn't matter. The fact is that it's going on anyway. Really good news about Inglewood. You guys recall that I walked for them to gather signatures so they could get it on the ballot yesterday to be able to vote for mayor and to be able to have a super majority to appoint for any vacancies that come up on city council. That freaking passed with like 85% by 7:30 last night. But what was really troubling was that they were going to go ahead and, I guess, the residents of Inglewood have decided that they want to raise their property taxes for the parks. I feel like there was maybe some shenanigans going on with that, but last time I checked, it had passed or was passing. And I just find that really odd because the majority of Inglewood has a lot of seniors on fixed income. That's the voter base. But regardless, that citizen-led initiative was successful. So all that walking in that 100-degree heat and doing that stuff was well worth it. And lucky for their old Sierra, I didn't even have to be a resident of Inglewood to go walk to gather signatures on a petition. Isn't that funny how it actually works? When Sierra and his bimbo attorney are making up their own rules. Oh, you guys, it's so ridiculous. And the things that they're doing to oh, oops, sorry about that. Bokmo, you did that and I undid it. Oh, somebody's in here talking shit with you? Okay. Trying to hijack the chat. Leonard, what's happening? How are ya? Leonard's popping in. Well, you missed all the fun, Leonard. But it's coming to an end. Sarah, hi. Snarky, for those unaware, the mega churches invaded and took over Colorado Springs, including taking over the command structure at the Air Force Academy. Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Snarky is a wealth of good information for what goes on in Colorado. But regardless, what is going on to the vulnerable over there is actually, my number one concern. So, and the things that the Inglewood Police Department has gotten away with are, these things cannot be repaired. And at some point, somebody was gonna have to speak up. And so it ended up being me. And they got that new chief of police that starts next week. So we'll see how that goes. Dave Jackson from Kansas City, Missouri. Right, Bokomo? Leonard misses the good stuff. Day late, dollar short, Leonard. Come on now. Yeah, well, I'm not going to sit back and just watch the actions of others anymore. Over there in Inglewood, I sat back way too long, and I kept saying to myself over the years, when are you going to make time to get over here and focus on this city government? Because so many of the people that I was helping were just being absolutely railroaded into total despair over there in Inglewood. Yeah, we're going to keep a close eye on that new chief of police, and at some point I am going to ask for him to meet with me, and we're going to see how that goes. So, yeah, don't hold your breath, but we'll ask. And then, because the hiring process that Sean Lewis, dictator at Mastor over there in Inglewood, oh, yeah, we're going to have a public process because, those people over in Aurora, they're ticked because they hired their police chief and there was no public process at all. Yeah, we're doing a public process. But it's really not a public process. It's by invitation only. And Reagan didn't get an invitation. Go figure. Yeah, we're worried about what he's dragging to Colorado. Oh, he's clean. This guy is so clean and so educated, right? And he already has made statement that Inglewood is the best police department in the nation. Lenny's real name is Leonard? Lenny for short? Well, you remember our friend Leonard from Lakeside, Lenny, don't you? That's who that Leonard is. We got lots of good dudes by the name of Leonard. But at any rate, all right, you guys, well, I'm going to go because I got to get gas. And we'll see what the next stream brings. Y'all have a lovely evening. Thank you for hanging out with me. for a little while. And yeah, why make the move? Why is he coming here? Trust me, Snarky. Yeah. Most curious. Thanks, DR Broden. Really appreciate you. Thanks for thinking of me these last couple weeks. Substralian marsupial. Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a good night, you guys.